My dear friend, today I'm speaking as a German. Purely paroled, a people on probation, speaking as a German. Some thoughts on the daily watchword for Thursday, May 7th, 2020. They refused to listen and failed to remember the miracles you performed among them. They became stiff-necked and in their rebellion appointed a leader in order to return to their slavery. But you are a forgiving God, gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love. Therefore, you did not desert them. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 17, the unabbreviated verse of our daily watchword. On May 7th, 1945, German arrogance was underfoot. Teutonic terror defeated, Deutschland devastated. The Aryan army undersigned unconditional surrender for the first to the west and the next resigned to Russia. Tomorrow this will be 75 years. A European anniversary overshadowed by the current corona crisis, eventually evoking old pictures again. What a devastating display for a proud people, for our incurable arrogance, barbarous pretensions, trounced twice in just 2 decades. And my people hadn't learned the lesson. Losing one insolent empire, regressing, raptured by the fiendish Führer's Third Reich regime. Again, overwhelming all Europe with blood and thunder, millionfold mass murder, a horrifying Holocaust, and at the end, a whole nation was caught red-handed. Even Christians cooperated, accomplices or kept quiet. Pious peasants like my grandparents, scared silence, involved in an assaulting army, bequeathed blood strain. 75 years ago, for a second time, they were ending up like the people of God they wanted to wipe out. Ending like Israel. They refused to listen to and failed to remember the miracles you performed among them. They became stiff-necked in their rebellion, appointed a leader in order to return to their slavery. But you are a forgiving God, gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love. Therefore you did not desert them. My people haven't got what we deserve to. With all our guilt, killing God's people. Visioning victors terminated terror for purely paroled people on probation. Many Germans and their churches engaged in serious soul-searching became pious, remembering the once abundant opportunity of a pardoned people. We refuse to listen and fail to remember the miracles you performed among us. We became stiff-necked and in our rebellion appointed a leader in order to return to our slavery. But you are a forgiving God, gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and abounding in love. Therefore you did not desert us. And even more manifest in the doctrinal text for today, if we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot disown himself. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 13. As Christians, we gracefully confessed, and as a nation, we have committed. For first, that meant a historical responsibility and an inherited accountability, minding militaristic mindsets and abstaining atomic arming like Nippon nuclear nobodies, experiencing expulsion, decreed displacement, and now remembering refugees. Horrified by Holocaust, searching now solidarity with racial, religious repressed, ongoingly ashamed of a devastated diversity, endowing asylum to others. Afraid of euthanasia, reluctant now in radical research. And again, in the last years, again, we have been regressing. Forgetting this, we refused to listen and failed to remember the miracles you have before performed among us. We became stiff-necked in our rebellion. But you are a forgiving God, gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love. Therefore you did not desert us. And again, even more manifest in the doctrinal text, if we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot disown himself. These days of the current corona crisis remind not only Germans we are notoriously neglecting, but a pardoned, paroled people. How long will we, in spite of plenty blessings, continue to exploit our earth, forgetting that all creatures are entitled of a just share? The crime of poverty and ecological injustice could be ended. How long will we keep to the arrogance of the mighty, deifying dictators, pursuing populism, denouncing democracy, equal opportunities, perhaps would promote peace? How long will our hubris hold? Our hubris until we accept our God-given blessed position on probation? In these days, the nearly defeat to the tiny virus, nature's smallest soldier, should not only Germans remind of a crisis given as a new chance to put our earth under God's order, under His grace, to become a practical, pious, peaceful people. We are paroled, but on probation. If we are faithless, He remains faithful, for He cannot disown him.